Carbohydrates, the bad boy of the macronutrients. Carbohydrates are grossly misunderstood. For a long time, they were villainized as being the source of gaining weight, when the fact is, carbohydrates really don't determine your body composition. It's the total amount of calories that you consume that cause you to gain fat. And even though that myth is dying out, I still think this macronutrient has the most misconceptions surrounding it. There are 4 macronutrients. There's protein, there's carbohydrates, there's fat, and then there's alcohol sugar. And again, we really only talk about the first 3 because alcohol sugar is found in alcohol and sometimes used as a sweetening agent. Today, we're going to talk about carbohydrates, why you need them in your diet. Literally, your body needs glucose. Even if you were on a keto diet, your body would still find a way to produce glucose, maybe even by taking some of the protein and converting it through a process known as gluconeogenesis. But your body needs glucose literally to survive. Your body also can utilize carbohydrates as a fuel source. Your body takes it and breaks it down into different forms: glucose, lactose, sucrose, stores it in your muscle cell, and you use it for energy, and it's a highly productive form of energy. Also, a lot of carbohydrate sources have additional nutrients that your body needs, such as antioxidants and soluble fiber. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk about, do you actually need to fit your macros? Like, do you need a carbohydrate goal? Why carbohydrates are valuable in your diet? And then we're going to talk about carbohydrate sources here today. Do you need a carbohydrate goal? The truth is, in order to maintain an ideal body composition, you do not need to pay attention to macronutrients like carbs or fat, as long as you're having at least 10% of each of these macronutrients long-term, or less than 50% of them. So day in and day out, I don't track my carbohydrate intake. I track my fiber, track my protein, and I track my calories. And in fact, I've got hundreds of people losing weight without ever even bothering to track their carbohydrates. I give them a calorie goal, I give them a protein goal, I give them a fiber goal, and then I give them meal templates, and they lose weight doing this because it's much easier and more sustainable than trying to fit those 3 puzzle pieces. How much fat did I have today? How much carbs did I have? How much protein? And trying to balance all 3 of those in unison. The thing about carbohydrates, though, is that if you're an athlete, you want to make sure that you're getting enough of them in your diet. And when I talk about an athlete, I really define that as somebody who's working out at least 14 hours a week. Athletes do 2-a-days, or they do long bouts of exercise over an hour and a half. And look, that definition, when we're talking about are you an athlete or not, is really caloric and less about your ability to perform or how you see yourself. It's strictly, do you need to track your carbohydrates or not? And if you're someone who has the work capacity of an athlete, you should be tracking your carbohydrates, and you should have a specific carbohydrate goal. And by having a protein and carbohydrate goal, by default, you'll have a fat goal, and the remainder calories or less consideration could be your total amount of fat. When it comes to carbohydrates, we're going to talk about a variety of sources, but we really need to understand that these are an excellent source of fuel and that they have unique nutrients such as antioxidants and soluble fiber. So I want to talk about those specifically while we go through and look at all the sources here today. Starting with my favorite carbohydrate source while on a diet, or if I'm just trying to maintain my body's composition, and that is beans. And there are multiple reasons for it, because beans are one of the carbohydrates that have a lot of micronutrients. In particular, they have folate, incredibly important while you're pregnant. They have iron, which is just great for synthesizing hormones, potassium, incredible for hydration, magnesium, which helps with diabetes and also helps prevent a lot of forms of cancer, polyphenols, which help support your immune system, and they also are high in fiber. And you're gonna notice a link between a lot of these carbohydrates that I like because they are high in fiber. And fiber is both soluble and insoluble. Soluble fiber has specific benefits, especially around cholesterol, blood pressure. Insoluble fiber actually binds to your stool. It helps you be more regular. And by doing that, it pushes out fluid, which is again going to help with blood pressure, but it also helps with constipation. Constipation, not only annoying while you're dieting, is also linked to things like Parkinson's and MS. The other reason that I like beans is because it is so filling. It's very satiating. Kidney beans, garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas in particular, 110 calories, 7 grams of fiber, while also having protein. I particularly love black beans just because of the taste. Again, 100 calories, 6 grams of fiber. You can't go wrong with either of these 3 beans. Kidney beans, black beans, or chickpeas. My second favorite source of carbohydrates are potatoes, and that is because they are loaded with antioxidants. carotenoids, flavonoids, polyphenols, anthocyanins, all different forms of antioxidants, and all forms of potatoes are rich in these very, very important nutrients. They help fight free radicals, which prevent diseases of aging. They are also loaded with potassium, the micronutrient, very important. Some of them are loaded with vitamin C, which we think of as a micronutrient, but it's also an antioxidant. When it comes to how I like to get my potatoes, you can get them from the traditional source. In general, my favorite potatoes would be sweet potatoes, red potatoes, purple potatoes. You can simply buy them as is, bake them, whatever, air fry them. You can also buy them as cut up. Just be careful with pre-packaged potatoes when they're cut up in fries like this, because a lot of times they pour oil all over them, so they really mess up the macros. The calories get a lot higher on them. So look at the back. In this case, this is for 85 grams, it's 70 calories, and it's 3 grams of fiber, which means these are really just sweet potatoes. That's all it is. Just make sure that they're equivalent in calories. You can look on the back and also see the ingredients. It's not that the oil's bad, it's just it's gonna jack up the calories. Trader Joe's also has this mashed sweet potatoes I absolutely love. You simply throw this in an oven, put some water on there. It's only made from sweet potatoes. That's all that's in here. You throw them on and you have this delicious sweet potato. You can put some salt in there, put some cinnamon in there. Tastes amazing. Alexa Smart Fries, I haven't been able to find in forever. They have incredible French fries, amazing macros. You bake them or you throw them in the air fryer. But Whole Foods does have these proper fries, and these have equivalent macros. It's 98 calories, 3 grams of fiber for 80 grams. So these are the best French fries that I've seen that are frozen. These I found at Whole Foods. These are the best fries that I have seen that are just in the refrigerator section. You don't need to freeze them. Okay, talking about other forms of carbohydrates here. You know, when I think about fruit and vegetables, I really think them as a standalone. I don't even really think about them as carbohydrate sources, even though they are. I think about them more as just free nutrients, because the calories are so low while being so high in nutritional value. Such dense micronutrient antioxidant profiles in fruit and vegetables. But these as other forms of carbohydrates, the reason that I would go with these: rice. Look, if you are a runner or you fall into that athlete category, those people who are doing 14 hours of work a week, rice is incredible because it's just so digestible. It's quickly digesting. If you want to make it even more palatable, you can put some bone broth over top of it, some chicken stock, some beef stock, whatever you like. Put it in there, let it soak in it, and you can just have a ton of it. And when you're working out 14 hours a week, you just need calories and you just need energy, and that's why I love white rice. I like this Uncle Ben's jasmine rice. I also like Trader Joe's has a jasmine rice. I'm not a big brown rice fan, even wild rice, because I just think the calories for fiber ratio, you're better off with beans or you're better off with potatoes. But white rice makes my list for those of you who are extremely active and you just need to get calories in. Also, if you were in a lean bulk, maybe you've already hit your fiber goal for the day, so you don't need more fiber, you just need more calories and you just want more energy for your workouts. White rice, the osmolarity of it, it just converts very easy to glucose in your muscle cell. These other products, 647 bread, the Mission carb wraps. I love when I post this stuff on Instagram because people lose their mind, but these are great. They're high in soluble and insoluble fiber. And again, both of those have benefits. The Better Bagels, I would say this is the equivalent of like a Dunkin' Donuts bagel. You know, it's not gonna be like you're on the street of New York City and you're going to a Jewish deli. Don't have that expectation of it. They also make these burger buns, and both of them are extremely high in fiber. So products like this make it really easy to hit your fiber goal, and that's why I would suggest them. Again, I would go beans first, and then I would go potatoes. But outside of that, if I was looking to kind of supplement my fiber goal, these are great products that help supplement it. So when I talked about beans and potatoes being my favorite carbohydrate source, I really mean that as an energy source. You don't have to have beans or potatoes in your diet. You can get around them. You do have to have fruit and vegetables in your diet, but these are non-energy source. These are basically like free micronutrients, free antioxidants, because the calories are so low while being so nutrient dense. So I just want to clarify, because I said potatoes, beans might be my favorite. They are in the sense of being an energy source and a traditional carbohydrate, but I actually think of fruit and vegetables at an elevated level. I think the foundation of a diet is lean protein, fruit and vegetables. Those are my non-negotiables while dieting. Let's talk about vegetables first. Let's start with broccoli, super high in vitamin C, super high in vitamin A, incredibly high in vitamin K, arguably the king of all vegetables. I keep broccolini in my house, I keep broccoli in my house. I even keep frozen broccoli when I'm in a rush, when I have to run out the door, maybe I'm going somewhere where there's a microwave, or maybe I just don't have any time to cook traditional vegetables, so I just throw it in the microwave and make do with it. But I have at least 3-4 of this in my freezer at any time. When I have a vegetable, I'm having like 3-4 cups of it. I'm having a large portion size because, again, so low in calorie while being so rich in nutrients. We have broccoli almost every single night. On the rare occasion we don't have broccoli, we're probably having asparagus. And asparagus, another vegetable, high in iron, high in potassium, again, really high in micronutrients, loaded with antioxidants again, and it's also a natural diuretic, which is gonna help you push fluid out, which makes you look great, but also helps with your blood pressure. I always have spinach. I always have arugula. Arugula is super high in vitamin K. Both of these are what we call a high volume food. Both of these are what we call a high volume food, which means you can eat a ton of it for very little calories. This entire container of spinach, all of this, is only 100 calories. So you could eat a ton of this. You're gonna feel full. I know that's not appetizing to everybody, but I squeeze like a lemon over top of it. I put some anchovies on it, maybe put some Parmesan cheese. It's absolutely delicious. It's a great idea for when you're like walking through the door at 3 o'clock because it's gonna prevent you from eating. Carrots, super high satiety factor, loaded with vitamin A. We have these at all time, these little sticks. Pick at them. Again, really great option that's gonna keep you full and prevent you from binging. By having a lot of vegetables with dinner, you're gonna be way less likely to snack on your kids' food or to get into the cupboards. Have to mention peppers, and really the reason for peppers is they are just so high in antioxidants. The rest of these really high in fiber. The peppers, it's just more about the antioxidant profile. I have traditional peppers, and then we also have these spicy peppers that I love. These are kind of my crucial vegetables that I keep at all time in the house. Last, and certainly not least, fruit. Let's start with my favorite subcategory of fruit, berries. Who in the world doesn't love berries? What I'm about to say applies to all berries with the exception of cherries. I just think cherries are kind of like the black sheep of fruit. They just don't have as much fiber and as much value in terms of micronutrients. But raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, incredible. Loaded with antioxidants, so high in fiber. I mean, 7 grams of fiber for a cup of raspberries, 7 grams of fiber for a cup of blackberries. Blueberries have some really strong cognitive properties. You cannot go wrong with these. High in manganese, high in vitamin C, both antioxidants. My favorite citrus fruit, another subcategory of fruit, oranges, grapefruit would be, lemons would be grapefruit, just because they're so loaded with antioxidants. Citrus fruit in particular. When it comes to berries, I think fiber first and then antioxidants. When it comes to citrus fruits, those lemons, those oranges, those grapefruits, you really think antioxidants first, and grapefruits just so loaded with antioxidants. This is like S tier fruit. So I have a grapefruit every single day. I have raspberries and blackberries every single day. Bananas. Not all bananas are created equal. Some are bigger than others. These are kind of like subpar sized, especially this one. This one just doesn't really have it going on. But in all seriousness, fructose and glucose, there's a combination. When you have a carbohydrate, when you have dairy, it breaks down into lactose. When you have a grain, it breaks down into glucose. When you have a fruit, it breaks down into fructose. This fruit has both fructose and glucose in it, so a fast digesting and a slower digesting carbohydrate present in it, which makes it the perfect post-workout fruit. The other reason that I really love bananas is because they're great to bake with when you're doing healthy recipes. They're also incredible for smoothies. They just add a lot of taste to them. And last but not least, apples. And I love apples because the convenience factor, you can just go to the refrigerator, grab them, they're ready to go. And the satiety, these are very high on satiety, meaning they're very filling. When you have an apple, you are going to feel full. Today, we discussed all things carbohydrates. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this was helpful. If you like what you saw, hit subscribe. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's where the majority of my following is. So please feel free to follow me there. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoy the content. And again, thanks for your support.